Hi, today we will be talking about traffic signals, aka traffic lights. Now the main purpose of traffic lights and traffic signals is to inform drivers, pedestrians, cyclists, all people who use the road. The main purpose of those is to inform all those people who use the road to inform them when and where they can go. Now, in Northern Virginia, most traffic lights will be suspended above the intersection, while in DC, the traffic signals will be on the sidewalks on a pole. So it's very important that you're aware of where your traffic signals are when you go to a new city, move, wherever it may be. Now, there are three colors for traffic lights. There are red, yellow, and green. I'm sure you all have seen those at some point in your life. Now, what we're going to be talking about is steady lights. Steady lights refer to just lights that are constant. Okay, red means stop, and whenever a traffic light is red, that means you come to a complete stop and you remain stopped at that intersection. And when you stop, you want to be behind the stop line, which we'll talk about in a later lesson. Okay, yellow, is that the light is about to change from yellow to red. Okay, and then you must clear the intersection. Yellow does not mean speed up. If anything, yellow means slow down. Okay, if you're in an intersection, when it changes from green to yellow, continue on your speed. If you're coming to an intersection and it changes from green to yellow, apply pressure to the brake and slow down. Okay, and green means you are legally allowed to go, but the most important thing you must do when you see a green light is check the intersection, check your path of travel before you go. You want to check to make sure that it is clear that there's no cars running a red light, there are no pedestrians present, there is no debris in the road, whatever it may be. You want to check to make sure the intersection is clear before you go. Okay, traffic signals, okay, for the arrows. Again, I'm sure you've seen these before at some portion of your life. Okay, whenever you have a green arrow, you can proceed in that direction. That could be straight, that could be left, that could be right, whatever it may be. But when you have that green arrow, you can proceed in that direction. But like before, you must check to make sure that the intersection is clear, your path of travel is clear before you make that turn. Okay, red, stop. You may not proceed in the direction of the red arrow. Okay, now this is where it gets a little confusing because you can have a solid yellow light or a flashing yellow light. Now, a yellow arrow is a warning that the light is about to change. Okay, similar to what happens because it's a solid yellow arrow. Okay, and again, when you see that green arrow change from green to yellow, okay, do not speed up to try to beat the light. Slow down. Okay, now if the arrow is flashing, so if it's a yellow arrow and it's flashing, okay, that means you can proceed in that direction as long as the way is clear. So as long as there are no cars coming in the opposite direction, you can go as long as the way is clear. Okay, now when that occurs, that's called yielding, and again we'll talk about that in a later lesson. But you must yield the right of way to vehicles coming from another direction. Okay, and again, whenever you're making a turn, you must yield to pedestrians and the cyclists, whoever it may be in the intersection. Okay, so again, red traffic signals. Okay, when you have a red light, you must come to a stop line, which we'll be talking about in pavement markings and intersections. But that's basically a line that separates the intersection from your road. Okay, at certain intersections, you may be able to turn right, and we'll talk about that here in the next slide. Okay, so you can turn right on some intersections, okay, but before you do that, you must come to a complete stop and then check the whole intersection for signs that tell you whether you can or cannot turn on red. You must check for traffic to make sure you're not entering another car's path of travel. Make sure the way is clear, you must yield. And then you're checking for pedestrian as well. Okay, and again, you must do all of those things before you turn right on red. Now again, if you see any one of these signs here, the no turn on red, a right turn with a cross through it, okay, you are not legally allowed to turn right on red. Okay, again, this is very rare. This occurs mainly in cities. But you can turn left on red, but can only occur when you're turning from one-way street to another one-way street. And again, same rules apply as if you're turning right. Stop, check, yield to cars that are already driving on the road, yield to pedestrians, cyclists, whatever it may be, come to a complete stop. When the way is clear, then you can go. But again, if there's a sign that prohibits no left turn on red, or no turn on red, then you must follow those instructions. Okay, so again, we were talking about steady lights before. Now we're going to talk about flashing. Okay, and again, whenever you come up to an intersection, okay, and there's a flashing red light, you want to stop, yield, and go when the way is clear. Now again, these could be an intersection. Flashing red lights also can be suspended. They can be above or below a stop sign. So it all depends, but these do exist. Again, if it's a flashing red arrow, again, come to a complete stop, yield to cars already in the intersection, or cars that you're going to be crossing their path of travel, and then go when the way is clear. Okay, flashing yellow signals. Okay, slow down and proceed with caution. Okay, this is letting you know that, hey, up ahead, there's something going on. Okay, that could be an intersection, could be a sharp turn, could be bad weather, could be letting you know that there is an intersection up ahead, that the lights are going to be changing. Who knows? But the biggest thing you want to know is when you see a flashing yellow light, slow down and proceed with caution. Okay, if there's a flashing yellow arrow, again, yield to vehicles that are already in the intersection, whose lanes you're going to cross, and again, check for any pedestrians, yield to them as well before you go. Okay, flashing lights again. Flashing red, stop before entering the intersection. Okay, caution, dangerous intersection for the yellow. Okay, green light or arrow. Again, we've talked about this before, but again, go when the intersection is clear. Okay, so always check to make sure the intersection is clear before you go. You know you have the green light, green arrow. Okay, but you can only control what you do. So again, always check to make sure there's people running red lights, there's no debris, there's no cars, the intersection is blocked because of an accident or whatever it may be. Always check the intersection before you go. Okay, so lane use signals. Now these aren't that popular in Northern Virginia. You'll mainly see these in tunnels in Washington, D.C., or you'll see these on the Chesapeake Bay Bridge or other bridges. Okay, these just let you know what lanes you can use. And so, for example, if there's a red X above a lane, that means that lane is closed. You cannot drive in that lane. The lane could be closed because it has traffic coming in the opposite direction, construction, or they just wanted to close it. And now a yellow X or a yellow arrow, okay, this is informing you that this lane is going to be closing. Okay, so you need to move out of this lane in whatever direction there is a legal lane to enter as soon and as safely as possible. Okay, and a green arrow, this just informs you that this lane is open. You can drive in this lane. It's safe to be in. Okay, and again at the bottom, if you see there, left turn arrow, permitted to enter lane to turn in direction of one or two-way arrow. Okay, so again, same things. If those have different colors on them, red, yellow, or green, same rules apply. Pedestrian signals. Now again, pedestrians must follow the same traffic signals that we do. Okay, they must follow their signals here. Again, they must follow them. Do all of them do? No. But you must yield to pedestrians, whether they're in a crosswalk, whether they're out of a crosswalk. You must yield to them at all times. Okay, because again, you're in a car that weighs, 1,500 pounds to 2,000 pounds, and they're just a human being. So again, you can cause them extreme damage or even death. So please yield to pedestrians at all times. And again, cyclists must follow the traffic signals as well. Okay. Now, for some reason, if signal lights don't work because of an accident, a power outage, Who knows? I have no idea. But again, if lights aren't working, you want to treat the intersection as a four-way stop, which we will learn about later. Okay, but again, if the lights aren't working, treat it as a four-way stop. Now, this does not apply if law enforcement is directing traffic at an intersection. Okay, so for example, if the power is out at an intersection and there is law enforcement present, follow their instructions. Now, if the power is not out and law enforcement is still directing traffic, you want to follow their instructions as well. So basically, if law enforcement is present and directing traffic, you want to follow their instruction at all times. Okay? If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Thank you.